Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group, and we have got a really neat webinar for you today. This is a new one for us. We're going to learn about what an irrevocable burial trust is and how it can help you and your family in so many different ways. But before we get started, a few kind of housekeeping items. I want to let you know that we're going to be using the chat box to communicate with you today, or for you to communicate with us. We are in webinar mode. That means we can't see you or hear you. So any questions or comments that you have, we would love for you just to put those in the chat box. Hi, Beverly from Midlothian. Be sure your little tag is set to everyone so that we can all see your comments. Unless you don't want that, that's fine. The other thing I want to let you know is that we do record all of our webinars. And after we're done with this presentation today, it will be loaded to our YouTube channel. And then we're going to email you a link to that recording and all of the slides from today's webinar. We do have a podcast and the YouTube channel. So if you're not live here with us today and you want that information, feel free to email me or the office. Our email contact info is in the presentation. And we'd be happy to send you the information. We also do a completely free initial consultation for anybody who has questions. You're welcome to set that up with us, and we'll go over more details of how to do that later in today's presentation. So, who is Consolidated Planning Group, and why do we do this? Why should you even be listening to us? Well, there it is, choking on air. We have been in the financial services industry for over 30 years. We help families with things like life insurance and planning for their retirement and investments, all of those sorts of things. But we do it through the lens of understanding that most of our clients, actually, I would say about 99% of our clients, have children or loved ones with some kind of intellectual or developmental disability. So we're not planning for just your future. We are planning for your future plus your child's future. How can we help set you on the correct path and give you a roadmap for that path that will lead you to where you need to be? We have, again, over 30 years of experience. And even though we're located in the Houston, Texas area, we work all across Texas and all across the United States. Thank you so much to the internet for that. We are members of the Special Needs Planning Academy. We are nationally certified Social Security advisors and chartered special needs consultants. So we take this very, very seriously. Um, Families come to us to help them think about things like protection plans. What would happen if you or your spouse were to pass away? Um, what would happen to your family if there was not that income or that childcare or that parent there anymore helping you? We help lifetime care planning. Once you're gone, there's a whole nother life that needs to be thought about. Transitions are big in our world, transitioning from age 18 into adulthood. There's a lot that happens there. There's a lot that happens when your child graduates from high school or moves into their next living arrangement. And when you pass away, I mean, there's big things that they have to deal with. So, how can we help them through those transition phases? Things like ABLE accounts and other vehicles and ways that you can save up money for your loved one without jeopardizing those valuable benefits that they can get from the state and federal government. How can we keep those intact and yet have money to pay for their future? So, an ABLE account is one way, and we can sign you up for that and help you understand how to use it. We do these webinars to teach people and to advocate for you, to educate you. You know, in the entire United States, there are over 263,000 financial advisors. but fewer than 200, more like fewer than 150 of those financial advising firms focus on special needs planning the way that we do. So it is very important that you have an expert who understands the ins and outs and nuances of what your child needs. And there's not very many of them out there in the United States. So we have really taken it upon ourselves to continue our education, to do the research, and to learn everything that we can about special needs planning to make it easier on you and less stressful. We know how stressful it is because we are parents and we have family members in our lives with disabilities. So it's fewer than a tenth of a percent of all the financial advisors in the United States who truly get this. And I don't know that they get it like we do, but they get it. So, a few key pieces of planning advice that we have for you when it comes to, thinking about who's going to take care of your child when you can't do it anymore. Because we know that's a question that really keeps parents up at night, and it's not easy to find answers. We can help you develop a future plan that is going to answer that question and help you think about, beyond high school, you don't want your child just to graduate to the couch, as they say, and sit there and watch TV or play video games for the rest of their lives. So, what is out there? There are great educational options and residential options. There are vocational programs that can help them, transition programs, day programs, and all of that stuff. We want you to think about it early because there could be waiting lists. And we would hate for you to find just the best place for your child and you're ready for them to move there and be on their way to adulthood, and then you find out that there's a long waiting list. Womp womp. And you're disappointed. We don't want you to be disappointed. So check into these programs early and go check them out and get on those wait lists early. The other thing we always want to remind people is that even though it sounds so nice and so easy to just say, oh, well, my daughter Sarah is the older sister of my son Jacob, and Sarah's just going to take care of Jacob when they're older. She's going to have a job and a family, and she'll be fine, so she can take care of her little brother. Well, when that time comes, Sarah might have made promises bigger than she's willing or able to keep. And on the other hand, Jacob could find a little bit of frustration in that situation as well because here they've been best friends and partners in crime, siblings for all these years, and now sister is trying to jump into the role of caregiver, which can feel like the role of mom, which could create some tension. So just be very careful if you think that a sibling is going to be able to step in and just take on that duty, okay? Just some words of advice for you. Now, today's webinar is so good. We have got Gail Anderson from Special Considerations, and she's going to talk to us about something really, really important, final expense planning. So I won't take up any more of her time. I will present more slides later and talk to you more about setting up your free consultation with Consolidated Planning Group. But for now, Sarah, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us. Please, please take it away.
Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate it. It's great to be here today. So yeah, I'm with Special Considerations. My name is Gail Anderson, and our specialty is final expense planning, and we really focus on individuals with special needs. Our main value is that every single life has is a life of that's special and it's worth dignity and dignity all the way to the end of life. And we really value having a dignified end of life. So the importance of planning ahead for these final expenses. If you've never had to do this, trust me, we've dealt with so many families, all kinds of people, guardians who help individuals with special needs, anyone in the circle of support. And we've talked way too many times to crisis planning. Crisis planning is not the position you want to be in. People, I understand, don't want to talk about death. It's not a fun conversation. However, it's a reality of life that every one of us is going to pass at one time, and we don't know the day or time. But that crisis planning is not great. You're not prepared. You don't have funds available, and it causes a lot more stress in an already stressful time. But then there's pre-planning, a much more peaceful, easy way to face the reality of death. Um, Being able to talk about it, set aside funds, this pre-planning is just a great, a responsible option.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are the options for planning ahead? There's several options out there. There's a funeral home pre-need plan. You can go to a funeral home and pick out your items that you want. You can pick out a casket, or if you want to think about cremation, you can pick out an urn. Just make all the future plans. It's a great option. You can go to the funeral home and take care of that. And there's a burial bank account. You can set aside in most states there are accounts at a bank that you can open up. The limit to the burial bank account, though, and having it be irrevocable, I'm assuming if you are in the circle of support with individuals with special needs, you know irrevocable is a huge word. Basically, you want something that is going to protect their government benefits, and a burial bank account can do that. But the limit to funds is 1,500, which is not a great amount to be able to set aside for burial. Um, so while it's an option, it's not the best option. And then there are ABLE accounts. I know Michelle referenced opening an ABLE account. Awesome. I'm so glad you mentioned that. It's a fabulous thing to open. It's great for the individual's quality of life to be able to have access to those funds, to safely, again, irrevocably set aside those funds and be able to use them. And you can use those funds to fund um, a burial trust. So that's a big thing. But I'm going to talk today about our special considerations irrevocable burial trust.
That sounds like it just combines all three of those things in one.
Yeah, absolutely. So with our special considerations burial trust, it's a very easy way to ensure that you have funds set aside for when they're needed, for that time of life, as we say. It's going to happen. It is irrevocable. The funds set aside in the burial trust, they protect their government benefits. We know how important those government benefits are. It's something we rely heavily on, but the funds set aside here protect that. And it is a spin down qualified. I'm sure spin down is another term that you hear all the time, and you've got to focus on that. Like, oh no, we're over resourced. We need to spin down the funds. I've talked to too many parents, families, group home administrators who say, we don't know what to spend our money on. We've already bought 5 recliners and we buy new mattresses all the time and new game consoles. Well, it's great to be able to buy one of each of those, but you just don't need to continually buy those. So our funeral trust is a spin down qualified um, thing. Easy enrollment. We take out going to the funeral home to do what we do. It's super easy. It's basically consider it a pot of funds that you're setting aside for funeral and burial expenses, and they can't be touched. Medicaid and Social Security compliant. And then here's another really big thing. We offer a lot of flexibility in that the funds that you set aside can be used in any funeral home in any state. So you don't have to, again, go to the funeral home right now when you really don't want to, and you
Yay.
don't, not fun. And
It
at
seems
that
very
time,
intimidating,
it
right?
is so intimidating. And that's the biggest reason somebody doesn't want to talk about setting aside funds. Being like, I don't want to talk about a funeral because I don't want to go to a funeral home. Well, you don't have to with special considerations. So in any funeral home in any state, our funds in the trust are available. So what is this? This is Our Irrevocable Pre-Need Burial Trust, it is a funding vehicle for final expenses, any final expenses, funeral, cremation, burial, opening and closing of the grave. Um, the funds are provided strictly for final expenses at time of need. The minimum to open a burial trust is $100. The maximum, I say 15,000 here, but I know in another slide it's 25,000. 25, it really kind of depends on each state. Some have strict limits. I know in Texas, it's 25,000 is kind of what we kind of cap out at. That's a reasonable funeral expense. Um, Easy online portal for enrollments. Enrolling your loved one takes about 1 minute to enroll in the trust. It's as simple as like opening a bank account, putting money in this account, and it's held there. We've chosen ClearPoint Federal Bank and Trust as our trustee. They are a bank in Indiana who their kind of niche banking point is funerals. So they're our trustee.
I actually grew up in Indiana.
Did you? That's awesome. So common funding sources for special considerations would be a spend down, which we discussed a little bit ago, an ABLE account, burial bank account. So if you have funds in a burial bank account, you can slide that over to special considerations and actually grow it above that 1,500. So that's huge. Individual, like whatever the monthly spending plan is, if you know that you've got a great budget going on and you've got a little extra each month, you can use your monthly spending plan. Also, special needs trusts. Michelle, have you all ever talked about special needs trusts?
Oh my goodness, every single day.
Yes,
Every single day.
I would assume. So first or third party special needs trust, a huge funding source for these, for our special considerations trust. And I'm hoping, Michelle, that you have preached to the choir that with the first party special needs trust, if funds aren't set aside before burial, before the time of need, before the individual passes, if they're not set aside for burial, they typically can't be touched because they go back from Medicaid. So go to a funeral home and do a pre-need or something. But if there's one thing you remember, set aside funds if you have a first party special needs trust because
Yes,
you don't want to
especially
be.
because people don't understand. And the quick, easiest answer is the first party special needs trust is your loved one's own money, money that is theirs. Maybe grandma and grandpa accidentally left an inheritance straight to them instead of the third party trust. Or maybe they have child support coming in that has to go to the first party trust after age 18. Or maybe their cause for the disability was a medical something, a medical event, and they have a settlement from
Yep.
the hospital. That's their money and it has to go to the first party trust. But with that first party trust comes the Medicaid reimbursement clause. With
Mhm.
the third party trust, that is money that is left to the trust,
Mhm.
not directly to the individual. And it's way better because it does not include that Medicaid reimbursement.
Yep, exactly. So at time of need, the funds that are in the special considerations trust are sent directly to the funeral home that's chosen, again, in any state in the United States. So it helps just, say you're 18-year-old down the road wants to move to Indiana, the funds follow them to Indiana or wherever they happen to live.
I think that's one question that I've kind of had personally is, if you go to a specific funeral home
Mhm.
and that's where you think you want to be buried, but then your entire family moves somewhere else. I mean, I like that this offers the
Yeah,
flexibility of being
yeah,
where you want to be.
absolutely. These are, you can just click through because it's going to be a whole list, but examples of authorized funeral expenses. This is just a touch of anything that you have, whatever, however much funds you have in the trust can be used towards any of these items plus more. I actually had someone ask me recently, they were a caregiver for someone who passed. She had past used the funds in the trust, had about $500 left over, and they're like, oh, what do we do? What are we going to do with this money? And can we buy a tree and plant it at our place in honor of this individual? I'm like, absolutely. So
That's
anything,
cool.
yeah, it's wonderful. So use the funds. You've set them aside, use them. So our easy online enrollment, I mean, this, I can't tell you how easy this is. It's wonderful. We use DocuSign. You can go to the next page. I basically, if you choose to want to set aside funds in a special considerations trust, you contact me, request login credentials. We set up a portal for you. I would walk through it with you. We call that our demo, um, and start your first enrollment. So it's super easy. Going to the next slide. Here's what it will look like. You would put in your email address, password, click sign in, and then fill out just the things with the asterisk, so your loved one's name, um, contract type, or anytime you're first time submitting funds to this, it would be original. If you're adding more funds later, it would be add-on. You're adding on funds. You put in birthday and the amount that you want to set aside for the burial funds. And then it populates into, well, this page, you click single, it's our only option. Um, again, super simple. And then it all exports all of that into a DocuSign. There you'll enter social security number and then whether you want to pay via check or ACH. Highly recommend ACH. Super easy. You don't have to print anything, mail anything. It just uploads and you're done. And sign initial and click finish. And the funds are there. We would mail you a letter, a confirmation receipt to show that you have set aside funds. Now, this policy list, I don't know if there's anybody here who maybe a guardian who cares for more than just a family member caring for a family member,
Mhm.
but anybody who cares for more than one person, or if there is a representative payee on here who has a group that they help, like a big client list that they support. This is a policy list that we offer at any time you need it. And it basically shows your individual's name, how much they've contributed to the trust, and we can give this to you at any time. My bigger groups who have got lots of individuals that they enroll, they want this monthly for basically accounting purposes, just make sure everybody is up to date. So,
Right. And this would be great for any, residential community or,
yes.
like you said, group home,
Mhm.
something like that. So,
Absolutely.
if the owners of 29 acres or Down Home Ranch or Brookwood, any of those big residential communities here in Texas, they could keep track of everybody's policies and
Yep.
who has what and make sure that it's all separate. Perfect.
Exactly. I know that frequently people need to send in letters for Medicaid purposes, qualifying for recertification. And where did the funds go? You had this amount, you paid it out. Where is it? And this show we can provide this for you at any time you need it to show Medicaid. Yes, we're good. And it shows, if you look about 2/3 down this letter, it shows yes, it's irrevocable. Medicaid will say
Yes.
perfect. You get a gold star. So it makes everyone feel great when they get this letter. Medicaid likes it.
Perfect. Yeah. And as we know, you submit it once and then they say they didn't get it. And then you submit it again and then they lost it. And then you have to submit it one more time and then it'll be good.
Exactly. But persistence is key. So when the time comes, anyone in the circle of support can report the death. We facilitate the whole death claims process. You can call me, email me, go through our website, which is specialconsiderations.com, and click death claim. Super easy. Um, our death claim specialist, her name's Lori. She would be the one who would communicate with you from there on. I help you throughout the whole life. And then upon the death claim, Lori jumps in. She's awesome. She would let you know, as well as the funeral home that you choose at that time. She emails you and the funeral home and says, hey, so-and-so has X amount of funds, and they'll be mailed directly to the funeral home. So it's a very quick, clean process. I'd say 48 to 72 hours is the turnaround time from when the death is reported to when the funds get to the funeral home.
Wow, that's quick. Now, I do have one quick
Yeah.
question. Anyone in the circle of support, do you need that list ahead of time of who these people are, or is it
No.
just, Joe Schmo can call in and say, "Hey, Michelle died, so
Yes.
send the
And
money."
I believe sometimes that we do need a death certificate. So it's not just, oh, they died, we're collecting funds. Yeah. So yes, there is accountability there, but really anyone in the circle of support. So if, say, a family member dies, we don't need to be notified that, like if a parent passes, we don't need to
Mhm.
be notified that they're the circle of support that cares for things. It's, say, sister um, helps out or a guardian is assigned, anyone in that circle of support.
Perfect.
Yeah. So a quick recap. So special considerations, we really assist with convenience. You don't have to go to a funeral home to set this up. We know that's painful, that's uncomfortable. The funds um, can be used at any funeral home or cremation provider at time of need. It's convenient for you. So you've got the convenience of that. You have the control. You can contribute whenever you're available. You don't have the rigid prepaid funeral contracts where you have to pay a monthly um, premium to the funeral home. This is as you can contribute, you contribute. So if it's monthly, or if it's just a one-time contribution, whenever it is that you can contribute. So you're in control of the contributions. And then again, your choice. You choose at that time whatever funeral home you want. We know life changes. We know people move, families up and go somewhere else. So family needs change. We totally understand that. And again, the features of special considerations, it's a spend down qualified expense. It helps you qualify for Medicaid. There's no fees for this, no IRS reporting, secure online enrollment. Again, to open is $100, and then the maximum in almost all states is 25,000. If you happen to be in, I believe, Utah, I think it's about 7,000 is their max. Some states just have really interesting limits. We cannot use this in Alabama. So if you're on here from Alabama, we can't use this, but we do have a different product. So don't be shy. Reach out if you're from Alabama, because I have another awesome solution.
Oh, that
Um,
is fantastic.
yeah.
Well, so
So
so you guys don't charge a fee to do this. Is there any interest earned on the money that goes in there? Or if you
yes.
have time to put in $100 and you leave that $100, is it always going to stay?
Nope, it is a simple interest. I'm not sure exactly right off what the amount is that grows, but it is a simple interest, so it does grow, it accrues. Um, as soon as the amount hits $1,000 in the trust, we roll it over into an insurance with National Guardian Life for added protection for the funds. And that will grow. It has like a bump in premium, as we say. So it does significantly have a bump in the value of what the amount is. So
Wow.
it does grow. Yes.
A really great option for families. And I know that sometimes it feels like, oh gosh, I need to fund their special needs trust and I need to pay for their housing and I need to pay for life insurance so that I
Mhm.
can leave them some money and I need and this is one more thing you have to pay for, but what I really love is that you don't have to have that recurring payment. You can just do it when you have some extra funds, you know? If you
Exactly.
come across some extra money from whatever, you can
Mhm.
stick it into this account and let it sit and let it grow. And then next time you have some additional, you go right on in there. That's
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
So I don't see any other questions in the chat box other than, I mean, my own curiosity. But if you do have more questions for Gail, please put those in the chat box. And then, Gail, if you wouldn't mind putting your contact information or however you want people to
Mhm.
contact you, I do see it on this slide. But if
Way
you
to
would go
put
ahead
it.
and put that in the chat box, I think people would find that helpful too.
Sure.
Now, I have a few more slides to wrap up with. This would be the perfect time for you to get questions in the chat for Gail. So, things to keep on your radar as it relates to planning for the future for your individual, your loved one. I think about that developing a future needs care plan. That future cost of care can be expensive. It's like saving for another whole retirement because you have to think, what happens after you're gone? And it's not, sometimes people say to me, oh, if something happens to me, well, guess what? I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it's not if something happens to you. You need to understand that we're all going to pass away. And the future cost of care estimates that we look at for your child is after your death. So we look at, planning for your retirement, your life, your income and expenses all the way through the end of your life. And then we don't stop there like most traditional financial advisors do. We continue your planning until your child's death, not just yours. Um, we help families a lot with these different benefits that they can get, the state and federal programs like the Texas waiver lists, SSI and SSDI, Medicaid, Medicare, how these things work, when and how to apply for them, ABLE accounts and special needs trusts, and what the differences are, where should we leave our money, what buckets does it kind of need to flow into and out of, residential living and summer camps and things like that we deal with. And really, as part of the community, I was telling Gail this before the webinar started that we try to help our network succeed and grow, and the good ones out there are going to rise to the top. So we know who's good and who's had some bad words spoken about them, or maybe not doing the best, or maybe they've closed recently and nobody knew that yet, or whatever. But we try to stay on top of those lists for you and make sure that we're offering you good options for all of these programs. We do have a list of attorneys who focus on special needs planning, as well as CPAs and educational advocates, and now burial expense services. So we try to be a hub for the information and resources for our clients. And that includes all of this kind of information. Now, I mentioned that we do these webinars 2, 3, sometimes even more than that every week. You can go to this link and it will take you to a listing of all of our upcoming webinars. You can register for them ahead of time so that you'll get that email. Even if you can't make it to the live event, you will receive the information later on. So feel free to check out our schedule of upcoming webinars. And this is the Consolidated Planning Group team. As you can see, we're not one of those giant conglomerates. We are a small independent firm. It's two sets of husband and wife financial advisors. Allison and Jeff are the owners, and then myself and my husband, Andy. We've got a great staff behind us. And we really are here to serve you. So please, we'll reach out to you to see if you want to schedule your free Zoom consultation, or you can use the QR code here if that's more your style. Call or email the office, or you can call or email me directly. I've put my information in the chat, and I'm going to do that again right now. There you go. And all of our social media stuff is here too. The YouTube channel, our Instagram, our podcast, and our Facebook page. So whether your questions are about today's topic or anything else, we are here to help you, and we would certainly love to chat with you. This is a Zoom, so it's over the internet. You don't even have to put on pants. um, Usually about 30 to 45 minutes to answer your questions and then tell you a little bit about us and how we work and what we do, and just to see if we would be a good fit to go forward together. So please reach out to me if you have any questions. Gail has put her information in the box as well, Gail at specialconsiderations.com. Very easy. You can just email her and get the process started. Gail, I am so excited about this. I really appreciate you being here with us today and sharing this information. Do you
Yeah.
have anything else that you would like to add before we close out for the day?
Really, I mean, just that we value on just a dignified life and just how every single life is so special. So that's really our, closing up the chapter of a life with that dignity is our just our value.
Fantastic. Thank
So
you so much for that.
thanks,
And thank
Michelle.
you. You're so welcome. And thank you for everyone who's been here with us today. I hope you're having a great week. I'm working on it and enjoy your summer. And I hope we get to help you soon. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.